All right, so for those of you who don't know, ROCCAT was acquired by Turtle Beach last year and is now their official PC gaming brand. So they're Turtle Beach's official PC gaming brand. And so today we're actually looking at the ROCCAT Elo 7.1 Air, which is the highest end model of their new Elo series of PC gaming headsets. This series is the first set of products that aim to bring the best of ROCCAT and the best of Turtle Beach into one. And I'll tell you right now, firsthand, for a wireless headset, there is a lot to like about this guy right here. For transparency, ROCCAT did send this headset over for review, but as I'm sure you guys already know, this will not impact my review in any way. All right, so I want to start by chatting about the actual entire lineup, because there's not just one headset in this lineup, there's actually 3 different headsets. And again, like I said before, this is the highest end one. And even though I will be focusing on this Elo 7.1 Air today, I wanted to give you guys a little insight on what's different between each pair. So at the bottom of the lineup, you're going to have the Elo X Stereo for $49.99. This headset looks to be very similar to its bigger brothers, except it's limited to stereo sound and has a 3.5mm TRRS headphone jack for connectivity. It doesn't have RGB and it doesn't have microphone monitoring in the headset. It is officially compatible with any device that can accept a 3.5mm headphone jack, such as like the Nintendo Switch, PS4, PlayStation 5, and then Xbox One or Xbox Series X. In the middle of the lineup, we have the Elo 7.1 USB for $69.99. This headset adds 7.1 surround sound, RGB, microphone monitoring, and swaps out the 3.5mm headphone jack for a USB cable. So basically, it's just the Elo Air with a USB cable, so just the wired version. And that leads us to the top of the lineup with the Elo 7.1 Air coming in at $99.99. This is the headset that I'm going to be focusing on here today in this video, and it adds wireless connectivity via a 2.4 GHz USB dongle, up to 24 hours of battery life, as well as Turtle Beach's signature Superhuman Hearing feature that aims to help you determine where your enemies are by boosting in-game sounds like footsteps, which we'll be talking about more in a little bit. Now, I also wanted to mention that the Elo 7.1 USB and the Elo 7.1 Air officially only support Windows. They only support PC. However, I did test my Elo Air on my PS4 and the headset worked perfectly fine. The downside here is that if you use it with the PS4 or another console, you're going to be limited to what you're able to do with the headset. You also have to control the volume through the console settings instead of like through, with the knob on the back of the headset, which we'll talk about in a minute. And again, I only tested it on my PS4, so even though I imagine it should work perfectly fine for the other consoles, I could be completely wrong. All right, so when you unbox the Elo 7.1 Air, you're gonna find a couple things along with it in the box. On the very top, you're gonna have this guy right here. This is the removable microphone for this headset. This microphone does not include a windscreen, just so you are aware. You then have a charging cable that is 2 meters long, and it's, guess what? USB-C, which I am absolutely stoked about. I'm super happy. And because I know some of you guys are going to ask, you can charge this headset while actively using it. We then have the 2.4 gigahertz USB dongle that you use for wireless connectivity. And I am happy to say that the wireless connection is absolutely rock solid. This, of course, is great because this actual headset can only be connected to your PC via wireless, or via that dongle, even though it does include that USB-C charging cable I mentioned a moment ago. And then finally, we have the Elo 7.1 Air headset in the box, which is an over-the-ear headset that has a little heft to it. It weighs in at about 350 grams with the microphone attached, and then it drops down to about 345 grams if you decide to pop that microphone off and remove it. The plus here is going to be that even with the microphone attached, so even when you just take this headset and you throw it on, I don't have the microphone attached right now, but even with the microphone attached, this thing doesn't necessarily feel as heavy as it really is while you're actually wearing it. The frame is going to be nice and sturdy. At the top, you're going to have a metal self-adjusting band right here, so that's this thing right here, and it's made of memory foam, so the actual band is made of memory foam. It's nice, comfortable, and it should allow for the headset to fit most people's heads without a problem at all. The sides are going to then be made of a nice and sturdy feeling plastic with a matte finish. Due to the finish, you're going to have no problems with fingerprints, and you're not going to be seeing, leaving fingerprints all throughout all of like this finish that's right here, so that is great. And then both both cuffs swivel to provide an optimal fit, as well as to be able to lay them around your neck like this. So if you want to drop them on your neck like this. And then once we take a look at the outside of the cuffs, you're going to have your ROCCAT branding. So we have the actual name right here, and then you have the logo right here, which is actually lights up with RGB. And for me, this is kind of gimmicky. Like I say, with gaming mice, I don't see much purpose for RGB and peripherals in which you don't actually see them, or you cover the RGB. And the same is going to be for the headset, and probably even more so for a headset, because you won't ever like see them at all. I mean, when they're on your head, you're not going to see the RGB. So what, what does it matter if you have the RGB? On the back of the left cuff, like so right here, you'll find a USB-C port at the very bottom. You're going to have your on and off button. You're going to have a microphone mute button, 2 scroll wheels, and the lower one is going to be for monitoring your volume of your microphone, and the top one is going to be for your actual headset's volume. And I listed kind of backwards because I wanted to emphasize on how excited I was about this USB-C. Like I said before, I love that it has USB-C. I'm super happy that it has USB-C. And again, I just wanted to emphasize that right here. After all, USB-C is it's kind of like one charger, one port, one plug, one connection
to rule them all, right?
As for the on and off and mute buttons, they feel fine and they work as intended. The scroll wheels also work pretty well. Even though the wheels do work fine, they are kind of hard to scroll with, and I would have liked to see them protrude just a little bit more, just not much, but a little bit more, and maybe be a little bit rougher or have a rougher texture on them, because they are super smooth. I didn't have any issues getting them to scroll, but it just felt kind of off to scroll them. It was just kind of weird to use them and to scroll with them. On the front of your left cup, you're going to have the port for your removable microphone. We mentioned this a moment ago. The only thing I don't love about this port is that the headset doesn't include some sort of plug for when the microphone is actually removed. I personally probably won't use the microphone often, and so aesthetically as well as for like dust reasons, I don't like the fact that they didn't include some sort of plug. In any case, this microphone does actually sound pretty good for a headset microphone, but it does seem to pick up a little bit of static, that at least what I noticed. I typically use a dedicated microphone, but for those who need a good enough option, I think this is a great addition here.
All right, so now I am using the headset and I'm using the onboard microphone here so you guys can get an idea of what it sounds like. It's about 2 or 3 inches from my mouth. I kind of pulled it away so you guys wouldn't be destroyed by these plosives, the P's and stuff like that, which we'll test in just a second. But as I'm sitting here talking, this is what it sounds like if I'm typing on a keyboard with, these are MX Brown switches, so this is what it'll sound like if you're typing on a keyboard and you're using this to game or whatever it might be. And like I said before, one of the biggest downsides of this headset and this microphone is that it doesn't actually include a windscreen. So I'm going to say a couple statements, or a couple words I should say, that we'll test to see, so you guys can see kind of like how plosives will work with this microphone. So, please borrow pancakes, please borrow pancakes, please borrow pancakes.
All right, so now I have switched my audio back to the shotgun microphone that's up here, that's connected to my camera. And what I would say is make sure that you position your microphone kind of down and out of the way of your mouth. This way, you know, those nasty explosions don't interfere with the actual audio quality of this microphone. Moving in, we're going to have our ear pads, and they are pretty comfortable overall to wear. I found them comfortable to wear for hours at a time, and the clamping pressure is pretty light. And for those of you guys who wear glasses, you should have no issues using these microphones at all for extended periods of time. Now, I personally don't wear glasses, but my wife does, and she did wear these for a little bit and with her glasses on, and she didn't have any issues while wearing these and wearing her glasses. With audio performance, I was actually quite impressed with these headphones. These headphones have 50mm neodymium drivers, and I found that the audio was especially impressive for the $100 price tag. In stereo mode, the highs were nice and crisp, the mediums were solid, and the lows were pretty good, and I didn't notice them ever being overpowering. It was pretty easy to determine where footsteps or shots were coming from, and overall, I really enjoyed the experience in game. The same goes for while listening to music. For someone who just likes to casually listen to music, I think you'll be perfectly fine and perfectly pleased with these headphones. As for 7.1 surround sound, well, I felt like it kind of muddied the sound a bit, and it made it hard to distinguish where the shots and footsteps were actually coming from. For me, it just didn't work well. The last thing I want to mention about the audio performance with this headset is in regards to the Superhuman Hearing feature that is advertised for this headset. So what that basically is going to do is going to attempt to boost all of the highs, such as like footsteps and gunshots, so that you can hear them more easily. I didn't really like it, to be completely honest. I felt like it kind of distorted the audio, and it kind of took away from the game experience for me. Does it work? Sure, it helps a little bit. It helped a little bit for me to kind of hear those, the footsteps and the gunshots. It just wasn't enough to interest me all that much. Again, you might be totally different. If you want that little bit of advantage that it will provide, then yes, you can use it. It does make things a little bit more clear to hear. Taking a look at the battery life, well, their claim 24 hours seems to be pretty accurate. I've had the headset for just a little bit over a week, and after the initial charge, as soon as I got the headset, I charged it just so it was fully charged. I actually haven't had to recharge the headset once. Keep in mind, I turned off the RGB on the side, so with it enabled, you're probably gonna get closer to about 15-ish hours of battery life. I didn't actually personally test this, but that's what the actual software estimates when you have RGB on. Speaking of the software, I can say it's not something I'm actually super excited about. I found it to be a bit buggy, like many of the peripheral programs that I've tested. And for this review, I actually found 3 main issues with it. The first 2 seem to have been fixed with the latest software update, which is good, but I'm gonna tell you guys them anyway, just so you're aware of the experience I had to go through. The first was that whenever my headset would go to sleep by itself, so if I wouldn't turn off the headset myself and it just went to sleep, I would actually have to remove the USB dongle from my PC before it would reconnect to the USB dongle. The second issue was that whenever I attached the microphone, so this removable microphone, to my headset, the microphone monitoring feature wouldn't turn off even if I set it to off in the program. So to fix this, I would actually have to just use the scroll wheel on the back of the headset, and I'd have to turn it all the way down so I wouldn't hear myself talking into the microphone. The last issue, and the only issue that's still persisting to the time of recording this video, is going to be the RGB. And basically, even if I set it to off in the program, the color that's going to be on the headset is very faint color, so it's actually not completely off. With all of that said, there are a lot of things that you can do with the software. So it has an equalizer that you can fine tune your headphones to your preference. You can save a custom settings, or you can just use one of their EQ presets. You also have volume controls and noise suppression. There's your surround sound toggle and 2 different options for surround sound. You then have settings to monitor your microphone as well as to tweak your microphone as you need it. And then I actually found the magic voice kind of fun to use for like the half hour I was testing it. And then finally, we're going to have your battery status, so how much battery life is left on your headset. You also have that Superhuman Hearing toggle, and then you have on the illumination tab, you have all of your RGB settings, which you can do a ton of customization there. And so what we have here is going to be a headset that is pretty competitively priced at $100. It's wireless, has a solid microphone, which most headsets don't have. It has solid audio quality and has pretty good battery life. Now, there are some bugs I did find with the software. The 7.1 surround sound didn't do much for me, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the Superhuman Hearing feature that they have been advertising, as it just kind of muddied the audio too much for my liking. If you ended up finding this video helpful, please hit that thumbs up button and consider subscribing for PC builds and tech reviews just like this. If you have any questions about this pair of headphones, leave them in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.